Straight ahead here on this special edition of NFL Tonight, the Pro Bowl Selection Show. Sean Salisbury and Mark Schlereth will join me, Mark Malone, as we bring you your 2002 Pro Bowl squad, and we'll visit with a couple of the game's great stories. It's all next.
NFL Tonight is brought to you by Blockbuster, bringing entertainment home.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of NFL Tonight, the Pro Bowl Selection Show presented by Blockbuster. Mark Malone, along with Sean Salisbury, who gave everybody the high three sign out there before he went on the air. And, of course, Mark Schlereth, and some pretty interesting picks here.
There's some great picks, and the thing about it, we always have guys who miss out. Tough to take some of these guys off this squad, Mark.
It sure is.
Well, excellent. It's excellent to see some of the guys who got to make it.
And we should make it a point to tell everybody here right now that this is your Pro Bowl roster, not your starters. The starters will be announced at halftime of the AFC-NFC wildcard games on January 12th. With that said, let's get to the rosters, starting with the AFC. Clearly one of the surprise stories of the season. New England's Tom Brady will be going to Hawaii. The sixth-round choice, who's gone 10-3 as a starter, becomes the first Patriot QB to make the Pro Bowl since Drew Bledsoe in '97. Also making his first trip to the Pro Bowl, Steelers' Cordell Stewart, one of 4 Pittsburgh players to make this year's All-Star roster. He's 16-4 in his last 20 starts. Quite an accomplishment. And rounding out the AFC quarterbacks is the conference's top-rated passer, Rich Gannon. He'll be heading to the islands for the 3rd time now in his 13-year career. And, Mark, clearly a couple of unexpected guys that are really getting their due this time around.
Well, yeah, and Tom Brady, one of those guys. I mean, you look at what he's been able to do as far as the starting quarterback here. A lot of speculation that he'd be benched when Bledsoe came back and was healthy. He wasn't. He's really led this team, one of the best pure deep passers in the game right now. I love what he's done. They gave him an opportunity. It's good to see a guy who gets an opportunity come out, play well, and earn a spot to the Pro Bowl.
No doubt, Mark. And another guy, Cordell Stewart, has been through a whole bunch of different offensive coordinators. All the nonsense he's went through in the off seasons for the last handful of years to come out and validate this season with Pro Bowl picks shows he's got respect from the players. And the key with Cordell Stewart this year, and he'll tell you this, instead of becoming the puzzle like he's tried to be in the past, he's become a piece to the puzzle, and he was rewarded with a Pro Bowl appearance. It's going to be his first one, and it's going to be a great one for him.
Well, it's our pleasure to welcome Cordell Stewart to the show. Now, first of all, Cordell, congratulations. It's been a long climb back up to the top. Does this selection, in your opinion, validate your place among the game's best?
Well, I mean, just to be in this position, period, and getting the recognition from your peers, I think speaks for itself. You know, you always, if you're a confident athlete, feel like you're playing amongst the best. You are one of the best. And the only time you really get recognized is when the people amongst you choose you and pick you, because it's all about the votings and all those things. So just to be in this position right now, I guess I really am as of right now.
Cordell, on the field, Tommy Clements, your quarterback coach, Mike Mularkey, the offensive coordinator, you sure look comfortable. What difference have they made in your play and your comfort level and confidence?
Well, basically, they're allowing me to play my game, which is going out there and whatever it is we need to do, whether it's quarterback draws, whether it's the statue play where I pump one way and run the other, whether it's a quick game, getting the ball out of our hands quick. Coach Grimm, he's doing a great job with the protection, and the receivers have come around, and they're doing an awesome job leading off with Hines and Pettico and Floyd and Bobby. You know, all those guys, they've really come in, man, and Jerome behind me, they really come in and really helped me get to this point right now on the football field, off the football field. Coach Clemens and Coach Mularkey, what Coach Mularkey's done, he just sat back and said, hey, we're going to take Cordell and we're going to utilize all of his talents to the highest. And, you know, if he can go out and rush for maybe 50 yards and give us 200-plus yards a game passing, that's going to be more than enough, because the bus behind me, he's going to get him 100 yards. And whether it's 75 or 90, he's going to get it. So You know, Coach Malarkey and those guys, man, they've really done a great job with allowing me to become comfortable in his office and just utilizing my talents.
Well, Cordell, it's been fun to watch you. Congratulations, and we'll see you over in Hawaii.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right, let's take a look now at the quarterback selections for the NFC. Undrafted Jeff Garcia of the 49ers will make his second consecutive trip to Hawaii.
And he deserves them both. A team leader who throws the ball with great accuracy and has been a leader from the start. Great connection with him and Terrell Owens. He's a guy that's going to take them where they're going to go this football season in the playoffs. There you see the touchdown passes this season.
Joining Garcia will be another undrafted free agent, the Rams' Kurt Warner, who runs the league's most potent offense, tossing 33 touchdowns.
Maybe the best pure passer in the National Football League. One of the things I love about Kurt Warner, he does not let the mistakes of an interception affect him. He'll throw an interception, he'll come right back out and throw a touchdown pass. The most effective quarterback at doing that in the National Football League.
Also making the NFC roster, three-time league MVP Brett Favre, who was having the best season since 1996 when he led the Packers to their last Super Bowl.
Mark, he does it all. He'll block, he'll throw. If I got to win one game in the playoffs, a single elimination, guess what? Number 4 is my man. He's what makes it go. If he plays well, the Green Bay Packers can be alive come February for a Super Bowl appearance.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue with a look at which NFC wide receivers Favre and company will be throwing to in the 2002 Pro Bowl. And now the 2002 Pro Bowl rosters, the AFC running backs. Kansas City hit the jackpot with free agent acquisition Priest Holmes, who until this past week led the league in rushing.
Hey, great speed, great quickness, caught the ball well out of the backfield, did everything you want a guy to do, but what surprised a lot of people was his ability to run between the tackles. A very tough runner for a smaller guy, great season.
The man that regained the lead for the NFL rushing title, the Jets' Curtis Martin, will be making his 4th All-Star appearance in Hawaii.
Maybe the toughest running back in the league. Week in, week out, shows up, plays hard, plays hurt, plays dinged up, and consistently leads the league in attempts per year. Always carries the ball a ton, always shows up on Sunday and plays hard.
Deserved choice. Despite not playing the last month because of injury, Jerome Bettis is one of 4 Steelers to make this year's squad, which is the highest total for Pittsburgh since '97, Sean.
Yeah, you think Cordell's happy that the big fella's back there? What this does, though, those 4 weeks off, fresh legs for the playoff. If they're going to play late, Jerome Bettis needs to be healthy, and I think he'll be the man that takes them where they want to go, which is a Super Bowl this year, Mark.
All right, let's take a look at the Pro Bowl receivers for the AFC. Tim Brown, 6th in the conference in catches, will make his 9th trip to Hawaii.
You better make sure that you're on him, because if the ball's close, he catches it. He's the Rich Gannon's go-to guy no matter what, even though Rice is there going to the Pro Bowl again. Reliable. They've struggled as of late. He'll get back at it. Just don't play him man coverage.
Meanwhile, Rod Smith, who clearly earned the respect of his peers with a gutty performances on injured ankles, will be rewarded with his 2nd selection to the Pro Bowl.
Most complete receiver in all of football. Catches the ball well, runs after the catch well, and he is a difference maker in the running game. He turns those 5-yard gains into 40-yard breakouts, does it consistently, takes great pride in the run game.
The Jags' Jimmy Smith, with 105 catches on the year, is the only player from the 6-9 Jacksonville team to be recognized.
Battled multiple off-season surgeries, abdominal surgeries. A lot of people didn't think he'd have it. Comes back this season, has a 100-catch performance. Once again, 100-plus catches. Played great for the Jags all the way from start to finish this season.
All right, despite all the double teams, the Colts' Marvin Harrison still has managed 100 catches and his 3rd trip to Hawaii. He's the only Colts player selected.
And without Edger and James in the lineup, all the more reason this guy should be going to the Pro Bowl. There's no guy in the league who combines speed and route running both, who can beat you deep and beat you across the middle. Marvin Harrison is that man. Special football player.
Let's take a look at your AFC tight ends and fullback. The Ravens' Shannon Sharpe, who set a new all-time mark for tight ends this season, will lead a contingent of 6 Baltimore players. That's tied with Tampa for most players selected.
And then there's Tony Gonzalez. You see him here. Best athlete at the tight end position ever. He can play a little NBA. Going to the Pro Bowl, there'll be about 8 or 9 more for him.
And then you've got Larry Centers. You know, not a smash-mouth football player, not a smash-mouth fullback, but the best catching fullback, best receiving fullback in the National Football League, maybe of all time.
Well, joining Centers in the backfield, here are your NFC running backs. Former league MVP Marshall Faulk, who was the Pro Bowl's most outstanding player in the '95 version of the game.
Hey, scores from any place on the field, does it catching the ball, does it running the ball. If you put him in an offense that really was committed to running the ball week in and week out, he would be your next 2,000-yard rusher.
Well, here's the second best all-around back in the National Football League, Ahman Green. 2 years in a row, leads the team in receptions and rushing. Brett Favre, love having that back. Haven't had the guy since Dorsey Levens. This guy's going to be around a while. He's got game-breaking speed. You have to have a home run hitter in the playoffs.
First back selected since Dorsey Levens in 1997. Deserves the vacation from the frozen tundra. Finally, the best feel-good story of the season, the Niners' Garrison Hearst, who almost lost his leg to amputation, will head to Hawaii for the second time in his career.
Maybe one of the greatest comeback stories in the history, and he doesn't go just on sentimental value alone. Let me tell you something. This guy's got a burst. He has played well. He has run the ball hard. Deserves to go to the Pro Bowl.
And we are proud to welcome into the show Garrison Hearst. Garrison, congratulations first off. A selection to the Pro Bowl is always a high point in a player's career, but finding your way back after what was considered to be a career-ending injury has to really rank this as a very special selection.
Definitely, I'm definitely glad to be back. When I said I was on the way back, my thing was to get back to where I left off, and that was making the Pro Bowl.
Garrison, Mark Schlereth here. A lot of comebacks you've had here over the last couple of years. A lot of people didn't think you could do it. Was there ever a time that you wanted to give up?
Never. In my mind, I was coming back to play, and that's what I wanted to do. And my whole thing was getting back on the field and helping this team win.
You know, Garrison, the most amazing thing about the comeback is a lot of people who make comebacks, it takes them a year and a half to feel comfortable again. I know early at the season you're feeling your way out, but it sure looks like you're hitting on all cylinders like you were before the injury.
Definitely, it took a couple games for me to get used to my reads and everything, but my thing was to try and improve every week and try and come out and make plays.
Well, Garrison, finally, I have to ask you, where do you think you're at right now? Is it 100%, 90%? Can you get better from what we've seen over the last 16, 17 weeks?
Oh, definitely. I can definitely get better. I think every player right now, I don't think anybody's 100% simply because it's week 16. But, the thing is trying to improve every week, find something and get better at it, and that'll definitely help your team win in the end.
Well, Garrison, we certainly have been rooting for you. Congratulations, and we'll see you over in Hawaii.
Thank you.
All right, Garrison. Let's move on now to the NFC wide receiver selection, starting with the controversial but spectacular Terrell Owens of the 49ers, Garrison's teammate, arguably the toughest wideout to defend in the NFL.
You know what? He's a physical specimen. Big, strong, runs great routes, has great speed, and can push around guys, get open, does a great job in the red zone.
The leader of the Rams' high-flying act, Isaac Bruce, is the only Rams wide receiver selected to the 2002 Pro Bowl team, leaving out Torrey Holt, who averaged 17 yards on 73 catches.
Well, Bruce also averaged 17-plus yards, but you know what? He brings to mind speed, kill. The guy is so fast, he can break a game open anytime he wants. He makes plays consistently.
The Cardinals, despite another disappointing season, will send at least one player to the Pro Bowl. David Boston makes his first trip in just his third season.
Yeah, and you know, Mark, he's given Jake Plummer something to look forward to in the future. Nobody worked harder to get himself in this position in the offseason. This is a Pro Bowler who earned it. He was the guy I was worried about wasn't going to get in, but he definitely deserved it. Had an awesome football season.
And rounding out the NFC wide receiver squad, Tampa's Keyshawn Johnson. Despite catching only one touchdown, he becomes the first Buccaneer receiver to make the Pro Bowl since Mark Carrier did it in 1989.
Yeah, with not a lot of help at the wide receiver position. Goes over the middle, big and physical. This guy deserves to be in the Pro Bowl. Don't worry about the touchdowns. The one touchdown he did catch was a game winner.
Well, not since Mark Chmura have the Packers sent a tight end to the Pro Bowl, but Bubba Franks will give Brett Favre a familiar target. Franks is third on the Packers team in receptions, has 9 touchdowns to his credit.
Then you've got Wesley Walls. You know what? Nobody in the NFC had great statistics as far as catching the ball, but Wesley Walls can block, he can get open, and he makes a lot of plays in the red zone, scored 5 touchdowns.
Okay, it's Mike, are you a true fullback? Are you? Look at those moves. This is a running back, but you know what? We're going to give him the Pro Bowl bid. He has made this team go late in the football season at a comfortable position to be playing fullback in the Pro Bowl.
Still ahead, we'll turn our attention to the defensive all-stars. Did Michael Strahan sack another trip to Hawaii?
Is presented by Blockbuster.
And here are your AFC Pro Bowl selections at defensive end. Javon Kearse is one of 2 Titans to make this year's roster, making 2002 Tennessee's lowest output since 1994 when they sent just 1 player.
John Abraham of the New York Jets can play the run, can play the pass, is a great defensive football player, also plays both sides of the line, left and right, and very difficult to do.
This unbelievable statistic, Marcellus Wiley, 13 sacks in 14 games. John Butler, the GM, brought him in to do one thing: go get the quarterback. He's going to be around a while. This is a great addition, maybe the best pure pass rusher in the AFC.
Taking a look at the defensive tackles, John Randle makes his first Pro Bowl appearance with an AFC team after 6 appearances with the Vikings.
Dominated the line of scrimmage and pass rush from an inside standpoint.
Let's take a look now at the linebackers. Leading the way at linebacker for the AFC, the Chargers, Junior Seau will be making his 11th consecutive Pro Bowl appearance. That is the second longest current streak and is 3 short of the record, 14 held by Bruce Matthews. Joining Seau, the Browns' Jameer Miller is the first Browns linebacker to be named to the Pro Bowl since Pepper Johnson in '94.
Pittsburgh with Jason Gilden, but I'll tell you what, Kendrell Bell, the defensive rookie of the year, in my opinion, should have been on that list.
Let's take a look now at the defensive backs. Rod Woodson was selected to his 10th Pro Bowl. Only 5 players have more Pro Bowl selections among active players.
Deltha O'Neal led Denver with interceptions, but he got thrown at a lot, but did a good job of picking off the football.
And Oakland's Charles Woodson now been voted to his 4th consecutive season and 4 seasons in the National Football
Those guys are the reason I'm sitting in this chair, Mark.
For the NFC, Michael Strahan, 1 sack away from breaking the NFL's all-time single-season record of 22, gets his 4th career selection.
Yeah, I would give away all those sacks if it meant that we were in the playoffs and had another chance to go to the Super Bowl to win it, because that's why you're here.
Joining him, Robert Porcher, the only Lion selected to the Pro Bowl. Hugh Douglas needs a half sack Sunday to reach double figures for the 4th time in a career.
Hugh Douglas, a complete football player at the defensive end, plays the run equally as well as he plays the pass.
Strahan's going to get it this weekend, Mark.
No doubt about it. Let's look at the defensive tackles of the NFC. Leading the way, Bryant Young has just 3.5 sacks, but has overcome a potentially career-ending break of his leg to regain his place among the game's best. This is his 3rd Pro Bowl selection. Joining Bryant Young among the NFC Pro Bowl defensive tackles are Warren Sapp and Leroy Glover. Those two have combined for 14 sacks this season after combining for 33.5 last year.
These are 2 guys that you could put on any year, but I'll tell you what, where's Ted Washington and Corey Simon, both guys who made a huge difference in some dominating defenses.
Taking a look now at the NFC linebackers. 2nd-year linebacker LeVar Arrington, one of 2 Redskin players making the trip to Honolulu, justifying Washington's 2000 draft when they selected Arrington #2, just ahead of offensive tackle Chris Samuels, who also made the squad. Joining Arrington, Brian Urlacher is the first Bear named to back-to-back Pro Bowls since Mike Singletary, who reached the Pro Bowl every season from '84 to '93.
One thing I like about these linebackers, they're not just pass-rushing linebackers. They play the whole game. They play the run. They're relentless. Great choice for the linebackers in the NFC.
What I like is Urlacher could play running back and go to the Pro Bowl.
He sure could. Looking at the defensive backs now, Aeneas Williams will make his 7th appearance and is the only player in the Rams' 2nd-ranked defense to be selected. Williams is one of 5 former players drafted by the Cardinals to make the Pro Bowl this year. They can draft him, they just can't keep him. And joining him for the 2nd time in the last 3 seasons, the Eagles had 2 defensive backs selected to the Pro Bowl, and for the 2nd straight season, the Bucs also had 2 DBs named.
And Rondé Barber deserved it, and I love Brian Dawkins. His stats aren't great. He's the glue that's going to keep Philadelphia's defense together in the playoffs.
And you got to like big play, Sammy Knight. When we come back, Mark Schlereth finally gets to talk about the offensive lineman and his thoughts on the record-tying performance.
NFL Tonight is presented by, or log on to ESPN.com.
Bruce Matthews is the NFL equivalent of Cal Ripken, setting a new league mark of most games played by a non-kicker, 295. The 40-year-old Matthews was voted to his 14th consecutive Pro Bowl, tying the record held by Merlin Olsen. And as we take a look at the list of players who dominated the Pro Bowl over their careers, you can see that they are all Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. You should note that guard Randall McDaniel saw his streak of 12 straight appearances come to an end this year. Joining Matthews, how about Jonathan Ogden? Just one of 6 Baltimore Ravens to be selected to the Pro Bowl. The 4th straight year the Ravens have sent at least 5 players to the Pro Bowl.
I'll say one thing about Bruce Matthews was I was a player and I wanted to find out how to shut down a defensive lineman. I put on the film of Bruce Matthews because he was going to do it. Great player.
And how about Faneca leading that Pittsburgh offensive line? They've been outstanding this year.
One of the best offensive lines in the league. Taking a look now at the NFC offensive line. Among them, San Fran's Ray Brown. After 16 seasons in the National Football League, he's selected to his first Pro Bowl. The Bears had 2 offensive linemen selected for the first time since 1988 when it was Jay Hilgenberg and Mark Bortz.
I look at this list, I say Ray Brown, great. James Williams, both have played great. Both deserve to go to the Pro Bowl.
And I look at Chris Samuels and I say lock him in for about another 12 years.
Moving on now to the NFC Special Teamers. NFC return man is this year's only rookie player selected one of 3 players from the 1-14 Carolina Panthers. Steve Smith returned one of his 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in the season opener against the Vikings, who was also their only win on the year. David Akers is the first Eagles place kicker named to the Pro Bowl since Sam Baker back in 1969.
Are we supposed to talk more about the special teams?
No, let's move on now to the AFC Special Teamers. Oakland's Shane Lechler. He is the first Raiders punter to be named to the Pro Bowl since Jeff Gossett back in '91. Boy, was he a great punter.
How can Janikowski not be... Oh, he picked the wrong time to miss 3 field goals, didn't he?
Janikowski has always been your guy, but you're right. He gacked there towards the end of the season when all the votes were being tallied.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, when we talk about the Pro Bowl every year, there are always some guys that don't get in that we think probably should get in. You can't send them all. Who stands out that's missing from this list?
Well, I look at the defensive line in the NFC. Warren Sapp, you know what, it's been a great guy. You've got to game plan for him. But Corey Simon played extremely well. And how about a guy from Washington named Kennard Lang, who had almost 30 more tackles than Warren Sapp? You got to play both the run and the pass.
Don't you have any other comments outside of offensive, defensive line?
Never.
Okay.
It's always the fat guys.
Those are the guys that matter.
Mark, there's a couple names for me. Now, while I can put Tim Brown in the Pro Bowl every year, you can.
Sure.
But there's a couple guys that we don't know when they're going to get back. Hines Ward and Troy Brown.
Right.
New England and Pittsburgh. And one thing that Hines Ward did this year for me is, aside from elevating his play as a wide receiver and helping Plexico Burress, who is a guy who needed to come into his own, he also is the best blocking wide receiver in the National Football League. And you know what? We could throw John Carney in there, and we know we hate to talk about kickers. He had an awesome season in New Orleans.
But when you're talking about wide receivers who block, that's all they do is aggravate the players that are going to vote for him. So
bad idea.
They don't get into the Pro Bowl. It's unfortunate, but certainly he deserves to go to Hawaii. Don't forget that you can see the Pro Bowl on Saturday. It's February 9th. It'll be aired on ABC. We're out of time, but for Mark Schlereth and Sean Salisbury and Mark Malone, we were happy to bring you your 2002 Pro Bowl squad. Remember, we're back on Thursday, 6:30 over on ESPN2. Until then.
Who's going to get it? Dilfer and the Seahawks continue their playoff push in Seattle. Or will the Jets win and Oaktown spoil their postseason plans? The Pats clinched their first division crown since '97. How does that fit into the Dolphins' playoff equation? Does Michael Strahan set a new sack mark? Can the Bears clinch their first NFC Central crown in 11 years? Will the Rams claim home field advantage? Hey, we're a talented bunch. NFL Prime Time. Have a good night. NFL Primetime is presented by Miller Lite. Primetime is Miller time. And now, here's your host, Chris Berman.
Well, welcome to Week 17 of, I say Sunday NFL Primetime, not Tom Jackson that there's a Monday one, but the season is going to the final Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say we've watched 17 weeks of football into Sunday evening, and we still don't know the complete scenario for the playoffs.
Very interesting, and an interesting result out, a couple interesting late results out west in the AFC, but we'll get to that. Yes. Why don't we start with the team that already knew where it was going, but let's go to a game in the snow, like you like to see a little bit. Come playoff time, Bill Cowher at Heinz Field, but wrong condiment. Instead of ketchup, what is that, sugar or salt, or what is that? They're playing the Cleveland Browns, who won big last week, and the Steelers were shocked by the Bungles. Plexico Burress off his hands. Raymond Jackson, one of the many Tom Jackson cousins in football, makes the pick. Then Quincy Morgan, double reverse. Timmy Couch out there to try to throw a block, at least show him the way in the snow. And it's the ball down to the 4-yard line, and Cleveland's in business.
Yeah, Tim Couch does a great job here of leading the reverse for Quincy Morgan, puts his head on a swivel, sees what's around him. But, son, get out of the way if you're not going to throw a block.
For the 5th straight week, Jerome Bettis not playing. They thought if it was a dry field, he would play. Obviously, it's not. So Cordell Stewart going to the air. Plexico Burress, 21 yards. And then, one of the best names in all of football. It's a swing pass to Chris Umatu-Ma'afala. They say that cat's a bad Ma'afala.
Shut your mouth.
But I'm talking about Ma'afala.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Ma'afala, 17 yards. He is bad. Touchdown, 7-all. Later in the second quarter, 7-7. We got Ma'afala. We got Kimo von Oerhausen. He pushes Jeremy McKinney into counts. He gets credit for the sack. Then Tommy Kendrell Bell.
Yeah, look at the closing speed by Kendrell Bell right there. There's about 3 linebackers in the league. You're going to see 2 of them during these highlights that can close like that on the quarterback.
4 sacks today. They tie with 55 sacks. That's a new Steeler record. Ties the state. At any rate, Ben Gay. He tried to warm up in the beginning of the third quarter, but he fumbles it, and Troy Edwards picks up the gift, and the Steelers have a 14-10 lead. Later in the third, 14-7. Amazing. We took 3 points off the board. Cordell comes to the game. Here he is. Cordell out. Tommy Maddox in. That was Hines Ward for his 1,000. Plexico Burris for his 1,000. Swan and Stallworth together never got 1,000 yards same season. But Hines Ward and Plexico Burris have 1,000 yards receiving. And then it's Fuamatu Ben Ma'afala. 25 yards. Later leaves the game with an injured groin. Anthony Henry with the pick. And that would be for him his 10th. So only the 8th player to get double-digit pick six in the last 20 years. Meanwhile, Tommy Maddox to Bobby Shaw breaks a tackle, 40 yards. Maddox, XFL refugee, coming in and actually moving the ball well, just in case they need him. But Pittsburgh is already known. Week off, and then 2 games at Heinz Field. Their next game, not at home if they keep winning, would be the Super Bowl. But first things first, no fuss. Hey, look, Pittsburgh won. The defense allowed just the 7 points. Good or bad performance by Pittsburgh today? Not bad, Tommy, but, I mean, look, they win going into the playoffs with some steam, but yet a question or two for the number 1 seed?
I thought after their performance last week against the Bengals, the most important thing was to win the football game. But I think you're certainly concerned about the fact that Jerome Bettis, when he plays in what will be the divisional round of the playoffs, that it will be almost a month since he's played football. The speed of the game will increase. Also, I think a little bit of concern because Cordell Stewart had 2 what I would call subpar football games as they now get ready for the playoffs. So you're winning. You got home field advantage. You're going to be playing at Heinz Field, but I think your 2 best players offensively certainly have to be a little bit concerned.
Well, you get 2 weeks to get it together.
That's
you
correct.
are 13-3.
That's correct.
Here's an example of one of the many teams that finished strong last December, carrying it into this year, and they're rolling. So they're the 1 seed. What about the 2 seed? What about the champ of the AFC East? New England might have answered several of those questions. There at Carolina, a lot of people disguised as empty seats, 21,000, to watch the Panthers play Bill Belichick's New England Patriots. Panthers trying to avoid 15 straight losses. No team has ever done that, but very early on, I fought the law, and the law won. Ty Law picks off Chris Winkie. It's 10-0 Patriots. Then, next play after kickoff, ball tip, Otis, my man Smith. Look at Otis into the end zone. 2 straight picks. Here's a touchdown, but wait, the interception stays, but holding on the return certainly wasn't needed, so the Patriots get the ball, but not the touchdown. 4th and 2, Antoine Smith, and the Patriots are looking for a route late second quarter. 4th and goal for the 1, but Smith, it's a fumble. Mike Minter has it for Carolina. Now, wait a minute. Look at this. Is this Drew Bledsoe? Or is it Al Gore? I don't recognize either guy anymore. 10-3 at the half. Witness protection program. Todd Sauerbrunn, one of the great years of all punters. Why not? He punted more than anybody else. But he outkicks the coverage, and Troy Brown ends.
Man of renown.
He's gone. 68 yards. He's a 1,000-yard receiver. And again, a return for a punt. George Seifert has seen it all go this way.
Classic case of outkicking your coverage. You can see that when Troy Brown received the football, nobody within 15, 20 yards of him. He runs through the first wave. It's at least 8 guys, then just a sprint for the end zone.
Interesting that New England would have trouble against Richard Huntley. This is not the Huntley-Brinkley report, but Richard Huntley had 15 yards. Tommy, it continues, and they're running between tackles.
Yeah, the sweep for 15, and then off the edge for another 19 yards to the right side. You see him make the cut back onto safety and get up the field really quickly, and then to the left side again for another 9-yard gain. So That's another thing now. New England Patriots have to be concerned about their rush defense going into the playoffs.
168 yards for Huntley, but meanwhile, did you say rushing? Antoine Smith following blockers. 32-yard touchdown to the Patriots now, drawing it out, lead at 24-6. And then Otis didn't get the touchdown, but Otis, my man, gets this touchdown. He could go all the. Wait a minute, let me size up Wenke. Wait, he's gone. Touchdown. Defense. 6 turnovers. Please, Steve Spurrier, says one fan. Come. Bill Belichick, the Natalie-clad, now he's the wettily-clad Bill Belichick. Hey, congratulations to the New England Patriots. They began the year 0-2, and now they are champs of the AFC East, an unlikely champion, but a champion that goes in with a 6-game winning streak and a Pro Bowl quarterback from nowhere, Tom Brady, with Hank Goldberg.
What about you? You know, coming from when the team was 0-2 and you take over, did you dream it would come to this?
Well, I really think you prepare for, you know, that when your number is called to be ready to play. And, you know, each week it's about getting better and learning. And you know, being a young quarterback, you realize you're going to learn every week. And some days are better than others as I'm continuing to learn.
So the Patriots, well, all right, they're a little rush problem. Look, 11-3 after an 0-2 start.
Yeah, offense has great balance. We saw the 21 carries for 81 yards for Antoine Smith, but they were 36 for 102 overall. It's a portable game plan. It works in all weather.
And we'll tell you whether they get a buy or not later on. 15 straight defeats will probably be in the end on Monday for George Seifert, a very classy coach. Speaking of classy, Emmitt Smith going for the record books, and Peyton Manning trying to have a good game. The 211th and final game in the NFL, the Pontiac Silverdome, opening 75, Lions-Cowboys. All the first cold weather Super Bowl. Niners won Super Bowl 60, 93,000 to WrestleMania. 93,000 saw the Pope. Almost that many saw Elvis. And so many more marveled in Barry Sanders and all the wondrous things he could do, including right here in 1991, the only Lion playoff win. That's the 91 season, the only Lions playoff win since 1957. All that coming to a close today. And a little history on the other side of the ball. Emmitt Smith, 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons tied with Barry Sanders. Here he is with 28. Here he is with 13. And there he is with the record, 11 straight and 11 at any time, breaking the dual mark he held with Barry, 77 yards for Emmitt. Congratulations. But when Ty Detmer and Johnny Morton and the Lions led with 5.5 minutes to go, why not do an electric worm? You're 1-14. I mean, you know what? Why not?